Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our end of week TV news video. We use it obviously to talk about TV news, but we also use it to kind of wrap up anything that needs to be talked about in the channel, anything that's changing, happened, new stuff that started. And at the end of the video, although admittedly right now this is kind of moot, this part, but we pick our favourite episode of TV of the week. But it's quite quiet right now because it's summer, and there's like an obvious winner because Twin Peaks is on and nothing else is remotely comparing to it. But yeah, so that's kind of the game plan. So obviously mostly news and a little bit of channel talk, but that is what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen this week. So in terms of new stuff this week on the channel, we did have, and this didn't feel new. Like Connor had to remind me of this before we started, and it's because this launch last Friday, which is also when we recorded the last news video. But technically, yeah, since the last news video, we started. Actually, we didn't start.
We started and finished.
We started and finished reviewing all of the Castlevania animated series on Netflix because it was only 4 episodes.
All 2 hours of it.
Was it even 2 hours? Because it was like
it was less. Maybe it was an hour 45.
It was a 25-minute and then 3 23-minutes.
So
it's closer to 90 than it is 2
closer
hours.
To 90, yeah.
So, you know, pretty short. So our review of that's up. And we relatively enjoyed it. We did have some complaints. We had some, mainly it being not really feeling like a TV show and feeling more like a pilot for a TV show that really should have just all been one big thing. Yeah. Rather than, because it felt like it was just cut it. Just, oh, it's about 20 minutes, cut it. Cut it and play credits. Come back next time.
Felt that way, yeah.
But that was the gist of it. So that thing, and another thing that happened this week is we decided to drop one of the shows, one of the few shows we're covering right now because it's summer and there's not a lot on. But we had been covering Preacher. We'd done all of season 1. We were doing season 2, and we decided this week. We sort of like kind of floated the idea last week when we said we'll come back for one more and we'll see how we feel after another episode. And we decided to drop it. Not the worst thing in the world, but we weren't really feeling it anymore. We had a lot of problems. We weren't really feeling passionate about talking about it. And honestly, if we don't feel like we want to talk about it, then we're kind of forcing the conversation, and that kind of hurts the content. Like it's not, it's not up to the standard that we do with other things. Now, your opinion might be that standard's already pretty low, and that may be, but at least let's not sink below sea level.
Well, that's it. Yeah. Regardless of how low the standard was, that was still lower.
That was lower, yes. All relative. It's all relative.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So that happened this week. So we dropped Preacher. So there's not a lot of actual new TV shows right now that are getting covered because there's not a lot on.
Because there's Twin Peaks.
Because there's Twin Peaks. And Twin Peaks is exciting. That said, Game of Thrones is coming back this coming week. And once again, I seem to have skipped. I usually do this at the end where I tell you what's coming next week. But for some reason, it just seems to naturally flow in now where I'm just doing it. Yeah. Game of Thrones is back next week. I will not be reviewing that because I do not watch Game of Thrones, but Connor over there will be joined with Matt to cover that. It might not be as sharpish as the usual reviews are for some of the new TV shows, but it will be coming next week, so you can look forward to their bickering. They did last season, so if you want to see what they're like together, how terrible it is not having me on it, you can go and check. There's examples of it.
Yeah, we kind of get quite into Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
They pack a lot and a lot of the episodes are longer this season as well. So
yes,
I know they've got their longest episode yet. I think one of them. I think the last episode of the season is like 100 minutes.
Jeez. I still record their reviews of Game of Thrones, and I vaguely remember last season. It was getting longer as the season went on, and I'd say, right, okay, I've started the review, I've started recording. Give me a message when you're done, and I'd go away to maybe read some comics or just do something whilst they were recording. And I noticed like towards the end of the season, I'm like, wait a minute, it's been 40 minutes. What the hell? Like, what?
Yeah, it's not going to be able to do that this year. It's going to be a bit more vigilant.
Well, we're on what's coming next week. Netflix have got a show starting next Friday called Ozark.
Oh, is that next week?
Why? Yeah, like
I don't know. The weeks really snuck up on me. Like when we started this, you were like, oh, Game of Thrones is this week, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, it is.
Yeah, and Ozark's next week. So we do have some stuff coming next week. We have Ozark coming next Friday. We will definitely be doing the first episode, and obviously if we're into it, we'll end up doing the whole season. I will say some of the early reviews have been creeping up today. Fairly positive from the sounds of it. Maybe not knock your socks off, best thing ever, but they seemed positive.
That's good. I really didn't know what to expect from this.
I don't know either. Apparently, Jason Bateman's character, because it's about I don't know if he's already in the if he's already in the criminal like underworld, or if he's just breaking into it. But he's like this sort of grey area character, shades of grey, all that kind of thing. Apparently, he's not likable, but he's interesting. You know, he's kind of like a fascinating guy.
That's all right. I'm okay with that.
I wasn't making a complaint. That's just what I was just sort of skimming reviews. I wasn't reading them properly. I didn't want any spoilers. I was just kind of. I wanted to get a taste of the
You just want to know if you should look forward to something or not.
Yeah, like are they being negative? Are they being positive? But they seem positive enough. So I'm curious to check it out. So that's coming next week. Also, of course, we've been working our way through Dear White People on Netflix. Me and Matt have been doing Glow on Netflix, of course, as well. We have one episode left of that, so the finale of that will be coming this weekend. And me and Connor just started doing Dear White People again with episode 2 just last week, and then we did episode 3 this week. We should be doing 2 a week starting next week to get through that. But yeah, that's pretty good. So
yeah, and obviously we've been covering The Leftovers as well, and really starting to enjoy that.
Oh yeah, we're just about to work for the obviously Patreon get episodes a week in advance of that, so they're a couple ahead of the public on YouTube. But in terms of recording, we've got one left of the first season, and it's really picked up in the second half of the season. So that's pretty good. And obviously we're still been doing Star Trek, even though we missed last week because Connor had an anniversary to deal with.
That happened.
So we missed a week of that. So apologies. But no, so there you go. I've done all the channel stuff. All of it done in one little box. I say a little.
You're gonna have a right nightmare ending this video now.
I know. And I say a little. We're like 7 minutes in. So let's get to news. I'm going to give you an option, Connor.
Oh God.
I know. I don't usually give you a choice, and I admittedly, there's probably a good reason I don't usually give you much choice. Would you rather do the Emmy nominations at the start or at the end?
Oh, let's do them at the end. I don't want to interrupt your usual format.
Okay. Then we start off with delightful news.
I don't know if that was sarcastic or not.
Oh, it's not. I mean, if there's any sarcasm, it's just because it's really not that much of news based on when we were expecting it. But Stranger Things 2 is launching on October 27th. 9 episodes will be hitting on that day, which is delightful for me because even though I didn't argue with Connor that much about this, I just like that when he's wrong. So the fact that you were convinced, no, they said Halloween, and they've not been doing Fridays for some stuff recently.
I said it was a strong possibility that because they'd set a precedent for it doesn't have to be on a Friday, and they'd said Halloween, they might go, screw it, let's put it on Halloween.
Nope, 27th, which is a Friday. It's the Friday before Halloween, which I think when they first announced it, that was my guess. Admittedly, I loosened up and said, oh, maybe it will be the Tuesday or whatever it is because
they started putting stuff out that was on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Yeah, but I should have stuck to my gut because I was right.
Yeah, you were.
I was right, Connor was wrong. That is the takeaway from this story.
I made an informed guess.
You made a stupid ginger guess.
I looked at the evidence and I went, this is possible.
I looked at the evidence and went, he's wrong. And I was right.
Well, you looked at the evidence wrong then. You just got the right conclusion somehow.
Yeah, they released a poster with it as well. A really gorgeous poster. It's the 4 kids in the bike looking up at the sky. And there's like a Cthulhu-looking monster in the clouds.
So much colour.
A lot of colour. Yeah, it looks good. Speaking of Netflix and premiere dates, they also announced the 3rd season of Narcos is coming September 1st. So we're starting to get the September shows announced. So that's the first Friday in September.
I saw another new poster for The Punisher. No date yet, but it's a nice poster.
November.
I'm assuming it is. I'm just
November. Yeah. I'm calling it. So yeah, we don't cover Narcos, of course. I don't think either of us have watched it. Have you watched it? No, you don't watch it. But I thought it'd be worth throwing in. It seemed like the sort of thing that some of our viewers might be into.
Yeah, I'm sure there's bound to be someone listening who enjoys that show.
Now here's something just for me.
Oh, go on then.
Just for me. October 1st, the premiere of the 9th season of Curb Your Enthusiasm on HBO. Oh yes. Pretty good.
Enjoy.
I will so enjoy this. It's been off the air since 2011. Season 8 was 2011. It's been 6 years.
Was it like cancelled or was it just a
No,
hiatus?
it was basically because season 8 was a couple of years after 7, or was 7 a couple of years
It's
after.
one of those that's just a bit fast and
Well,
loose.
well, it wasn't for a while. The first like 6 seasons were one a year, I think, more or
Right.
less. And then there was it was either between 6 and 7 or 7 and 8. There was like an extra year, and then he came back and did another one. And then after 8, they were like, well, was that the end of the show? Was that the last season? And every time Larry David spoke about it, or HBO spoke about it, it's like, oh no, the door's open. Like, as soon as he wants to do another one, he can do another one. Like, it was basically, as soon as Larry David feels like doing a season, he can come back and do
No,
a season.
fair
Like,
enough. I respect TV that works like that.
yeah, I respect it as well, especially since with him, his stories are so slice of life, but from his weird perspective.
Yeah, so you want to wait till he's had a few new experiences.
Yeah, he actually just turned 70, so he did's getting old, but no. They released a little cool teaser video, not with any footage of the show, it was just a little thing they filmed for this, to announce this, but no. I am looking forward, I love Curb. Season 5, pretty rough, but otherwise it's a fantastically consistent comedy.
Yeah,
and if
so-
it,
and
and if anything, that last season with all the Seinfeld cast, which was that 8? Or maybe that was 7, but either way, that one was fantastic.
Fair enough. No, I'm glad it's coming back for anyone who enjoys it. Like I say, it's got a big following, got a big reputation.
Yeah.
I've never watched it, but I've got nothing against it.
You might love it.
I'm sure I might.
I say might. The timing might put you off, the comedy timing. However, I definitely think you will share a lot of these cynical views of the world that Larry David does, or at least in
I can
character
appreciate that.
does. Although he's pretty like he's pretty like it because he plays himself, but like how much of it is exaggerated, how much of it is he?
Yeah,
Is
but you got to
he-
imagine the core values are still pretty similar.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, one of my favourite quotes from him when he was being interviewed was, I think it was when he was promoting the last season, when he was doing the rounds for the last one, and they were asking, "Oh, did you have fun filming this season?" And he said, "I never like to publicly admit that I'm happy." And I thought that was pretty funny.
I approve of this man.
So now, Curb Your Enthusiasm coming back, season 9, October 1st. So look at that, September 1st and October 1st, all these firsts.
September, October is just stacked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't really cover comedies, so we probably won't.
No, I just mean not even just
Yeah.
for us, just in general, like the amount of stuff that's on.
No, that's true. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Admittedly, I mean, I don't know if there's a place for me to talk about Curb on here. Like, if people want to have some Curb chat, maybe I could do something for Curb. If people want some Curb talk, I don't know if I could because it's a comedy. But the situations he gets himself into in that show are so weird and unique and often poignant.
Maybe you could do something just for the season. Like,
Maybe just for the season.
how
or something.
was it as a return? Did it live up?
I'll see if there's a demand. If Curb fans comment in the video saying, yeah, we want to have some Curb talk, even if it's just an excuse for them to comment and talk about Curb.
It happens.
We'll see. And then last up in dates. Now, we already knew this date. We're talking about The Tick on Amazon. We already knew that was August 25th. They put out a new trailer, which I did not watch, which is why I didn't send it to you to watch, because I feel like we've already seen the pilot. We don't need to see a trailer. We're fine.
Yeah, we know what we're getting.
We're into it. The only reason why I'm bringing this up is because there's a piece of information that came along with this that I was unaware of until now. Now, it doesn't sound like they're just announcing this, but it definitely wasn't in the announcements. But see, when they announced the date, this definitely wasn't in those press releases. Maybe they slipped it in somewhere else between then and here, and this went unnoticed. But so on August 25th, when it goes up, it's not actually the full season. It's season 1, part 1.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know how many.
They're getting into this now.
Yeah, and I don't know how many episodes part 1 consists of, but part 2 is slated for early 2018. So I think it was 10 episodes for season 1 before, so I don't know if that means 5 episodes, or if part 1's 10 episodes now, and
John, I really don't know how I feel about these part ones.
I don't like it. Wait until you've got a full season.
I feel like this is a symptom of still, even when they're not doing weekly TV, the crews that they're getting in are probably still, general TV crews. And they're used to work into, weekly episodes. And so that's the way they're kind of still shooting. And they're blocking it out as if they've got time. So, like by the time they get to episode 6 was airing, they could still be working on episode 10 on a normal TV show. I mean, that's a bit tight, maybe, but
I don't think I agree with that assertion. Just because it's not the crews that schedule it.
it's not. It's not.
Well, you know, those people at the top scheduling these things and
Yeah, yeah.
deciding how they're
The
going to.
people, if the people in charge of, the TV programming, do they come from a traditional TV background?
The production manager in particular is the one who will be dealing with how they schedule things out. I don't think that's the reason for this. I don't think it's people are
It's
used to
just-
working on TV. Because cable networks have been shooting full seasons before they start airing them for
That's
years,
true.
before we had these streaming services. I don't think that's the issue. I think, honestly, I don't know what the decision process is. I think it murkies it up. I think it's just much easier to market a season 2. We talked about this with Castlevania, I think, a little bit in one of those reviews, how that's only 4 episodes, and why didn't they, I think originally it was meant to be part 1, but then they said, nah, it's just season 1, then season 2. I think it's just easy to market season 2, so I don't get the thought
Well, that's
process
it, because
behind this.
we saw what happened with I think it was the Get Down, and that part 2.
If I was to guess with this, I would say maybe it's a case of one of the actors or something had to finish early. Like some contract like obligation took an actor away, and they went, "Oh shit, we can't finish this now. Well, we'll just split it in half, and we'll put the half we've got up." And
That's it. It feels like there was a delay, and they didn't
yeah,
want to delay the whole show. It's like, well, we can still have 5 done.
yeah, I feel like that's more. I don't understand the thought process of deciding to make it part 1 and part 2. It's just really hard. And if your story splits into 2 parts, well, great. It's season 1 and 2. Just call it that, because it's really annoying getting part 1 of a season. But remember back in the VHS day. I mean, obviously the youngins watching won't remember this, but back in the VHS days when you had seasons coming out in VHS of TV, you used to have to buy them in multiple parts. You wouldn't just get like a full season box set. You'd get like a block of 3 tapes, which would be half the season.
That even went into early DVD stuff.
It depended on who was releasing what. Some of the seasons were full, some weren't. I remember like Australia gets shafted a lot, like all the Buffy seasons, which hit TV show by Joss Whedon, good show that. But I remember that the Buffy and Angel seasons, they were getting split up in Australia, where everyone else in the world was getting the full sets. So they were getting like royally shafted with those.
Yeah, Doctor Who did it for quite a while.
It's really annoying. It's just no one likes buying half of something.
No, they don't.
And this isn't buying something, but it's the same principle. No one likes just getting half of something.
Do you know what? I'm going to give Doctor Who some major shit here, because this was far too recent. I think it was Capaldi's first episode. I think it was, so season 8.
Did they release it on their own? This one?
They released the first episode on its own.
Oh god, no! You assholes.
Like 3 weeks after it released, after it aired on TV, they released the first episode on DVD and Blu-ray.
That is nah.
And I was like,
nah.
what? Why are you doing this? You monsters! You greedy bastards!
That is awful. Especially since it's not like, was the next box set like two?
No, the next one was the full season.
Oh, that's just awful. No.
Yeah.
That's as pointless as those stupid best of DVDs you used to get, where it'd be like 5 random episodes that all have a theme that's shared. Like,
yeah.
Who wants to watch 5 random episodes?
I always love seeing what theme they came up with, though.
So stupid. Anyway, I can't believe we spent so much time on the Tick season 1 being split in half. This is going to be a longer video than I was expecting. Alright, speaking of Doctor Who, actually, it's interesting you brought that up. Yeah. I don't know if you heard this yet, but the 13th Doctor is being announced on Sunday.
I did hear this.
So this is more news for next week, admittedly, because we can actually talk about who it is. But it's been announced on Sunday, so...
I've been keeping my expectations in check, because I'm ready to accept it's the guy that all the bookies are saying it's going to be, because that's usually how it goes. But I'm not really excited about that. So expectations are low.
Yeah, I'm not particularly excited about the odds favourite at the moment.
But I mean, I have nothing against him, but he doesn't excite me.
Well, there you go. So I guess that'll take us on to some more, well, kind of meaty news. But first off, this is super deep. I'll be quick with this one. Westworld season 2's hired a new cast member, Katja Herbers, who apparently was on the leftovers. I don't think we've gotten to her yet though, in our viewings of it. But she's been cast as a regular for season 2. She's going to play Grace, a seasoned guest in the Westworld, as in the park.
I got it.
Yeah, season guest in Westworld, whose latest visit comes at the park's darkest hour. Not pretty vague. Only reason why I even put this in was just because Westworld news. It's been a while. We've not heard about it in a long time, so it still exists.
Just want an excuse to go. Oh, Westworld's still happening.
Yeah, season two still happening. Still
It's chugging along.
just chugging along. It's coming. So there you go. Exciting stuff. All right. So next up, this is actually kind of good news. At least from my opinion. You know how Hulu's doing Lock and Key?
Yeah.
Based on the Joe Hill comic book series, and obviously Cartoon Cues is the one who's showrunning it, which is pretty cool. He's done some interesting stuff. He co-showrun Lost mainly, but the pilot was going to be directed by Scott Derrickson, the director of Doctor Strange.
Yeah, we were not happy about that at all.
Doctor Strange and Sinister. He has been replaced. Now, the director they replaced him with isn't exactly exciting either. It's Andy Muschietti, who directed Mama, which I was not particularly fond of. Admittedly, I don't think the direction in that was as shockingly bad as, because it was like kind of mundane. Whereas Scott Derrickson, I actively think is a really bad director in terms of action.
There's at best he's mediocre, but never consistently for a whole film. It's mediocre with points that are bad. Or awful. Yeah.
Even in Doctor Strange, I was noticing like weird things in the edits that just weren't working for me, and it was really strange. So, I am glad he's been replaced. This is good news. Apparently, it was
they didn't like him either.
It was a scheduling.
That's what they always say.
It was a scheduling dispute. He's doing the pilot for Snowpiercer. So,
really? Oh, bloody hell!
You can go do Snowpiercer.
I was looking forward to that as well.
Alright, next up, let's get to the meat. Let's get to the new shows that are in development. Netflix has ordered The Umbrella Academy, which is another series based on a comic book, which seems to be everything recently.
Well, they exhausted all the books.
There's still a lot of books, to be fair. Books and comic books, it's those two things.
Yeah, but books isn't exactly new. They've been doing books for decades. Comics, not so much.
This is true. So Netflix are doing this. This is Jared Way wrote this book from Dark Horse Comics. It's going to be live action, and it focuses on the members of a dysfunctional family of superheroes known as the Umbrella Academy. And here's a list of the family members: the Monocle, Space Boy, the Kraken, the Rumor, the Seance, Number 5, the Horror, and the White Violin. As they work together to solve their father's mysterious death while coming apart at the seams due to their divergent personalities and abilities. So that's your premise. Sounds interesting. Folk who know the comic book are wondering how colourful this is going to be. Apparently it's a very visually interesting and stylistic book. So are they going to keep the style of the book, or are they going to go for something that's a bit more normal looking?
Fair enough. I've never checked out. I don't really rate him much as a songwriter, so I never bothered to check out his other writing works. I mean, I read the one comic of Doom Patrol, I guess, but it didn't really blow me away.
I thought the first issue of Doom Patrol was okay, but that is the extent of my history with him. In fact, I remember reading that you had to tell me that he was someone in a band, because I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What band was it?
My Chemical Romance.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
Pretty sure. Unless I'm just spacing and making that. I'm pretty sure it was that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That said, I liked that issue of Doom Patrol way more than I've ever liked anything from My Chemical Romance.
I agree with that.
Well, there we go. So, that said, I don't know. Sounds like it has potential. It really
does sound like a good idea. Yeah,
it depends on. I like all the character names. They all sound kind of funny.
They do.
The fact that one of them's just called the Horror is pretty cool. So I am curious as to what the tone's going to be. Is this got a sort of dark sense of humor? Like I don't know. Fans who would like the comics could probably tell us that. But yeah, Netflix just pumping out stuff that is at least interesting enough to check out. Like it's just kind of insane. Like almost every week we have something new they've announced. In fact, speaking of, they've greenlit their second original Spanish show. Don't ask me what the first one was. I cannot remember it, but I'm sure we brought it up when it got announced. So the Spanish original, and obviously they've been doing other foreign stuff recently. We've got a German one coming. We did 3% last year. They've announced quite a few. It's called Elite, and is a crime thriller set at an exclusive boarding school. It's set at Las Enchinas. I'm going to go with that. The best and most exclusive school in Spain, where the elite send their children to study. It's also where 3 working class kids have just been admitted after their academy was destroyed by an earthquake, and the local council divided up the students. So they all get sent to like different schools because they had to go somewhere. The clash between those who have everything and those who have nothing to lose creates the perfect storm that ultimately ends in murder.
Sounds like it's got potential.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's parts of that on their own doesn't sound that interesting, but then you put it all together, and I'm like, oh, there's a murder at the end. All right, okay.
Yeah, like that. I can see that being the end of the first episode.
Yeah. Unless it does like a fancy narrative thing where it starts with a murder and we get a lot of flashbacks, and it's like, oh, what happened?
Yeah, it could do that.
Yeah, I know. It's good though, and obviously it sounds like something we'll check out when it hits. So that's pretty
I'm sure
cool.
we will.
Alright, next up, FX is developing a new show from all of these producers. Now, this is a fairly impressive list of names. Noah Hawley, Robert Kirkman, and Joe and Anthony Russo.
Okay. I'm interested.
It's called The Mastermind. And it is based on the investigative stories of Activist magazine. I thought I was meant to say activist there, but it's a name of something, so it may actually just be Activist. Like, I thought it was missing the C.
It might be anyway.
It may be anyway, but it's capitalised, so it's the name, so it could just be Activist. But yeah, it's based on the investigative stories of Activist magazine co-founder, CEO Evan Ratliff. Again, that looks like it's missing a C. But it probably isn't. Ratliff. I expect it to be Ratcliffe.
That's why he didn't name it. That's why he named it without the C, because that's what his name's name. Like.
Yeah, maybe that's why. Yeah, okay. We've sleuthed that. If that's not the answer to this mystery, I will be disappointed.
If it's not, it is now.
Yeah. It will centre on the true story of Paul Leroux, a computer programmer and criminal cartel boss who became a DEA informant. Okay. Admittedly, that doesn't... The description on its own does not sound that exciting. It's all the names that go with it that make this exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I probably wouldn't write it off completely, because FX, I mean...
Oh yeah, it could be good, but it wouldn't be...
It'd be nothing to actively make me interested.
Yeah. The Russo brothers are apparently going to direct the series. It doesn't say one episode either, it says the series, which would imply shorter run, especially since, they're quite busy. They've got an Avengers movie.
Probably 8 episodes tops.
I would imagine so. I don't know who the actual showrunner is going to be, though. The article did not make it very clear who the sole showrunner was going to be. It did not sound like Noah Hawley. And Robert Kirkman, I don't believe, does that. I mean, he didn't showrun.
No, it doesn't showrun, no.
Any of his stuff. Because Noah Hawley, it said it was being produced through his company. It didn't sound like he was the one actively going to be running the show. Maybe it was the Russo brothers. I mean, maybe they're directing and showrunning.
Could be.
Which could be interesting. It's also very different for them, because obviously we've done superhero stuff with them, we've also done comedy stuff with them, with Community and stuff like that. This sounds like more of a serious thing. Or maybe it will be more funny. I don't know. It doesn't mention comedy. But
yeah, let's wait and see.
That is the Mastermind FX. Alright, HBO is an early development on a series which is based on a novel called Who Fears Death. George R.R. Martin is actually executive producing this. Now, he actually put out a statement after this news broke that he's like, no, that is the extent of my involvement. He's not the showrunner or anything like that. He's executive producing, that's it. He's not spending a lot of time.
I feel bad for the guy. He can't do anything.
Yeah. I think it's because some articles were incorrectly calling him the showrunner. So he had to come out and make it clear, no, I'm like helping this come along, but I'm not.
I think it's because obviously he has a background in TV. It's where he got started. So I think people, when they see him attached to a TV show, they just expect the worst.
The book is written by Nide Okorafor. I think that's how you pronounce that first name, Nide. It's 2 N's at the start.
I'm not looking at it. I'll just take your word for it.
So apologies if I butchered your name, but sources are saying that it's not actually official yet, but it's close. So, but it was actually the writer of the books, the the author who tweeted this out.
Okay. That's cool.
Tweeted that information. So what was it about? The novel takes place in the post-apocalyptic Africa. Just,
Okay.
right away, that's kind of unique. So you've got me kind of, and I'm assuming the author is also African, given the her name. But the novel takes place in post-apocalyptic Africa, in which the Nuru tribe has enslaved the Okiki people. Again, apologies if I'm butchering that, but I think that was right. So they're enslaving the Okiki people, and they now look to eradicate them for good. An Okiki woman who was raped by a Nuru man gives birth to a daughter that he names. Oh my god. On yes on Moo. On yes
Okay.
on. Just for the record, ONYESONWU.
Yeah, sounds about right.
On yes on Moo. Right. Which means Who Fears Death, which is the title of the book. As the child grows, she develops magical powers, ultimately discovering that she is being targeted by a powerful force that wants her dead.
I wasn't expecting this to go on the magic route.
Nor was I. So we've got a post-apocalyptic Africa, we have evil tribe, we have enslaved people, and we have the chosen one girl who's probably going to save them all by the end of the story, I imagine.
Sounds like a classic fantasy novel to me.
It also, maybe it was just me. Maybe it was because I was getting a little bit of a Moses vibe here, because it says like she's born of both sides, because her mother was raped by the Nuru guy. So it sounds like she's like part of both cultures almost. So I was getting a slight Moses kind of vibe.
Yeah, that's
to
what
it.
you're saying.
But that sounds kind of interesting. I'm down.
Yeah. Sounds like a fantasy story, but in a post-apocalyptic world, which typically is one or the other.
I do think we are going to struggle with the names of the characters if on yes on Moo is anything to go by. Admittedly, once we actually hear them said, it's not that big a deal.
It might be fine once we hear it.
Yeah, but I'm not going to lie, seeing that written down was intimidating.
Lots of syllables.
Lots of syllables. Too many syllables.
Look.
I feel like
it's bad, but it's still not as bad as Welsh.
Yeah, I was just about to compare it to Welsh. It's the opposite of Welsh. Welsh has no vowels, right?
Yeah.
It's just all consonants, and it's like, what the hell is that gobbledygook? It literally looks like gobbledygook. Whereas this is like, oh my god, this is like a roller coaster to say this because it's so.
Well, yeah, but
so
at
much
least you
ups
can
and
break
downs.
this down. You can
True,
look
true,
at it. You can
true.
see, on yes. You can go through it.
Yes.
You got no chance with Welsh. Just make it up as you go along.
Alright, so on to our last news story outside of the Emmy nominations. Netflix, so we're back at Netflix. But this is a co-production here, which is why it's separate from the others. This is Netflix.
I'll allow it.
This is Netflix and the Canal Plus group, who are from Frenchland. Yes, I said Frenchland, I thought it was funny. They are making a show called Safe, which in France it will air on C8 is the channel, but Netflix will air it globally everywhere else. So now you're probably thinking, wait a minute, so this is going to be a French show? It's going to maybe a French original? It doesn't sound like it is actually. It's because it's going to star Michael C. Hall, who played Dexter. So presumably it's still going to be English speaking if that's the case.
Yeah, I'd assume so.
Yeah. So they're going to be making this called Safe. So in Safe, Hall will play a British paediatric surgeon raising two teenage daughters, Jenny and Carrie, alone after the death of his wife. The family is seemingly safe inside a gated community where the elder daughter sneaks out to a party and a murder and disappearance follow, changing all of their lives.
Yeah, sounds alright.
I'm not sure. My only complaint about this description is I'm not entirely. Say there was a murder and then the daughter disappeared, or was it just someone was murdered and someone disappeared, but it's not neither of the daughters?
That's what I assumed.
Right. Okay.
That latter one, but
okay, that's fair. I'm not 100% on who disappeared.
No, see now you've said that, I'm questioning it. I assumed that when you said it, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. So it sounds okay though. It reminds me a little bit. This is a weird comparison to make, but it reminds me a little bit of Halloween H2O, where Jamie Lee Curtis's character, after 20 years of the events of Halloween and Michael Myers coming after her, lives. It's actually like a posh private school, but it's got like an outer gate, and it's got a security guard, and it's all about living safe and kind of away from the dangers of potential killer brothers that are coming for you. And And this kind of reminds me of that. But one of the teenagers sneaks out, and there's those elements in that movie where the teenagers try to sneak out and do stuff they're not supposed to.
Fair enough. Do we know if this is going to be a Netflix gets it weekly, or if it's a Netflix gets it all at once at the end?
They did not say.
Okay, cool.
Did not say. Could be either.
Fair enough.
But we'll check it out when it comes. It sounds interesting. So, it's funny. We actually sped through those new shows, but there's actually quite a lot of... I don't think there was anything that was instantly, oh my god, that sounds amazing, but there was a lot of interesting potential in there. We got our post-apocalyptic African show. We got a Spanish show there with Dexter and a gated community with murder. We got that Spanish original show with the posh kids and the poor kids killing each other in the private school.
Yeah, the last one was French, wasn't it?
No, it was Spanish.
Oh, why do I think you said... I'm sure you said French the first time.
Oh no, you're right. It was French. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
it's because I said Spanish that second there. I'd convinced myself.
You changed your own mind.
I'd convinced myself. Yeah. No, that last one was France. Yeah, you're right.
That's all right.
Yeah. Then we have Umbrella Academy, which again, so a lot of potential things there. It's kind of amazing how. I mean, there's the odd quiet week, but it seems like every week, mostly, we have at least one or two interesting sounding new shows in development.
This isn't anything yet, but Tom King, who is a comic book writer, was tweeting this week saying he was having some meetings with some TV execs. So maybe we'll get one of his comics coming as an announcement soon.
Maybe. But you're right, that's not anything yet.
It's not anything yet, but I'm just, something to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Alright, there you go. So that is the news. That said, we do have the Emmy nominations. Now, I don't want to go through all of these because there's a lot of categories. Like, I'm going to scroll down to a weird category.
I didn't look at them. I just know that everyone's going crazy because they were like, why is no Game of Thrones? It's like, well, because it wasn't eligible this year.
Also, it's about time there wasn't any Game of Thrones in the
well, yeah, this is because of when it in its normal spring slot last season it made it, but then because it's not there this season it missed the cutoff. So it'll be in next year's.
For example, there's not really much reason for us to talk about production design for a variety, non-fiction event or award special.
I don't even know what that means.
Oh, the Oscars and stuff like that.
Oh, right.
I'll tell
Why
you
did they need Emmys?
I'll tell you the options, right, just so you know what it means, right? Exactly. The Oscars is there, the Golden Globes is there, so obviously award shows.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl halftime show is there, and Hairspray Live is there, so a live musical also qualifies. That's still fiction, though. Is it? Isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're cheating their own system. That's bollocks.
They are. They're just trying to give them an Emmy somehow.
That shouldn't be there. And
I'll put money on them winning that one.
There's awards for casting. Like, that's pretty deep. That's deep cut.
That is deep. I mean, I think credit to them, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's not that I don't think they should get recognition. It's just, how many award shows do you look at and go,
you never see that normally, do you?
Especially when they break it down. They've got casting for drama, comedy, and then limited series. Oh, and then
I'm not
reality
sure limited
program.
Series really needs one. And reality program is a weird one because you just want to go, right, find me the weirdos.
Although I am happy to see cinematography for all the categories.
God. That would be scary if they had these, but not that.
Not cinematography. Yeah, cinematography for a single camera 1 hour series is probably the one that's most relevant to us. Which, for the record, Mr. Robot got a nomination for Todd Campbell, who's the one doing that. Stranger Things got a nomination there. Westworld got a nomination there. As did Sense8, The Man in the High Castle, The Handmaid's Tale, and The Crown. That was the cinematography. And for the ones I've seen, yeah, fair.
Yeah, so I've seen most of them.
But yeah, let's go to the main ones. I did want to point out, though, someone pointed out that the actress who plays Barb got nominated for actress in a guest role. And it's like, oh, finally, justice for Barb. I'm like, shut up. She served her purpose. She's dead. Get over it.
Christ. If she wins over someone who... I mean, I'm not saying that she's bad, but I'm just assuming there was more deserving in the category.
Well, let me see.
Start there.
Guest actress in a drama series. The other options are Alexis Beadle, or Bledel, or however you say her name, from Handmaid's Tale. Off Glen, specifically, that is. Yeah. Someone from The Americans, Alison Wright. Someone from How to Get Away to Mother, How to Get Away with Murder, and Dowd from The Leftovers. That's odd. I'm not going to say why it's odd, but it's odd. And then we have someone from Orange Is the New Black, and then we have Barb from Stranger Things.
Okay. I've not seen enough of those to make an informed decision.
Well, I can definitely say, I mean, out of the ones I have seen, which is basically her and Handmaid's Tale, I would say Handmaid's Tale should get that.
I agree, yeah.
So, but I thought that one was somewhat notable. So let's look at the biggies then, the biggies that we really care about. Yeah, and this is mainly going to be drama focused, yeah. So, best drama series, the nominations are Better Call Saul, The Crown, Handmaid's Tale, House of Cards, Stranger Things, This Is Us, and Westworld.
So the only one I haven't watched any of this current season is House of Cards.
I would add The Crown to that for myself, but yeah.
I've watched all of The Crown. It's very good.
It is worth noting there that This Is Us is the only one there that's from a network, like a regular network. They're all either streaming or cable. And hell, I mean, the only cable is Better Call Saul. The rest are all streaming. Netflix has 3 shows in that top pick there.
That's kind of crazy, isn't it?
It's kind of interesting. It's worth mentioning as well, I believe this is Hulu's first kind of break into the Emmys with Handmaid's Tale. This is their first.
Makes sense, because I mean, the only one that really stood a chance before was 11/22/63, from my knowledge at least.
Yeah,
and I don't think that was quite there.
Oh, they had the Path, and was that good enough? I don't know, but they did have that, so it's worth mentioning. So no, I mean, I think for me personally, like what's most missing there, I would have personally like to see Mr. Robot also on that list.
I agree with that.
I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, as much as I'd say, "Oh, take away The Crown, take away House of the Cards," that's only because I've not watched those. Like, so it's not like
I'd say it's unfair to say get rid of them.
It's not like I can really. But I mean, let's be honest though. Better Call Saul, Handmaid's Tale, Stranger Things, and Westworld. Those are 4. I mean, I'd add Mr. Robot as the 5th, and that'd be my 5. Like the 5 best shows probably the last year from our perspective on average. So
I've seen The Crown. I think it's excellent. But I still think it's the weakest of those options. Again, not including House of Cards.
Yeah, because you've not seen it, yeah.
Yeah.
Comedy, we won't do a lot of the comedy categories, but I'll do the main one, just since, it's the big main blanket one. So Atlanta is in there, Blackish from ABC, Master of None's there, Modern Family, which I think that's been winning for like years at this point. Silicon Valley's there, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt's there, and Veep's there.
No, I swear I'm going to watch Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Still haven't done it. I've not watched this season. I was so excited. I've just not had time to sit down and watch it.
Well, the good thing is when you do actually have time, you get through it in about 4 hours. So
yeah, that's true. I do want to watch Veep as well because the creator did one of my favorite comedies. So I probably should watch it.
Which was
The Thick of It.
Right, okay. Just let the audience know. Yeah. You just know it did one of my favourite things. But I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's a secret. Because I'm a ginger.
It is. And this is... Because obviously The Thick of It was British politics, and then Veep is American politics done through comedies.
Yeah, my only sort of interest in ever trying Veep was mainly because... I mean, I like Seinfeld, and obviously Juliette Louis-Dreyfus is in it, and she's obviously in Seinfeld. But, yeah. Anyway, so... Let's do the drama actor and actress here. Let's have a look at what we've got here. Actress, they've got Viola Davis for How to Get Away with Murder. They've got Claire Foy for The Crown. They've got Elizabeth Moss for Handmaid's Tale. That would have been criminal if she wasn't in there. To be honest, that would have been. They've got Kerry Russell for The Americans, which I've not seen this current season, but from what I have seen, yeah. They're solid. Evan Rachel Wood from Westworld and Robin Wright from House of Cards. I imagine she's been popping up in these lists a lot over the last several years.
Probably. Those all sound pretty fair to me.
Yeah, from what I know. Yeah, obviously I've not seen all of them, but honestly though, I feel like if Elizabeth Moss doesn't get this, I mean, again, I'm saying that not having seen a couple of them, but. Yeah. She stands out because I mean I loved Westworld and I thought Evan Rachel Wood was great in Westworld. It is nothing compared to Moss on Handmaid's Tale.
No, that's which ones have you not seen? The Crown, obviously.
How to Get Away with Murder, I've not seen. and I've not seen the current seasons of The Americans and House of Cards, but I have seen parts of those shows.
I've seen the first season of How to Get Away with Murder, and she is excellent. Like, she's fantastic in the role.
I like Viola Davis. I've just never seen that specific show. For actor, we have Sterling K. Brown from This Is Us. We have Anthony Hopkins from Westworld. We have Bob Odenkirk from Better Call Saul. We have Matthew Rhys from The Americans. We have Liev Schreiber from Ray Donovan. We have Kevin Spacey from House of Cards. And we have Milo. We have Milo Vent. It's because I was looking at the second word and panicking. Ventimiglia. He was from Heroes, the guy from Heroes, from This Is Us. Peter Petrelli from Heroes.
Just panic and go, it's him.
I have no idea how to say his second name.
Do you know what? I've never known either.
Yeah.
I get as far as if you ever want to Google him, you just type Milo and then V, and you go, yep, that one.
You just hope it pops up. Or you could say Rocky's son from Rocky Balboa, from the 6th Rocky movie. You could also use that as a reference point. As far as this goes, this is kind of a weirder category. Obviously, I am A-okay with Bob Odenkirk being in there, and I have no complaints about Anthony Hopkins. There's more of these that I haven't really. I mean, I've obviously seen the first This Is Us. We watched the pilot, but we haven't had enough to
get a base mark of their actual performances.
In terms of who's missing, I have to go back to Mr. Robot here. I feel like that's Rami Malek from Mr. Robot. I feel like he's missing here.
Absolutely.
He is definitely missing. Who else? Who else is missing? I feel like there's a few more obvious options that might be not here, but they're also not springing to mind. So maybe I'm just making things up in my head.
Not, yeah. Just trying to click through some of the shows that we've covered.
Yeah. But there's no one from Stranger Things, but that's fine. That's okay.
I'm assuming Fargo missed the cutoff.
No, that was nominated for like 16 Emmys.
Right, so that's in.
That's in, yeah.
Okay, see, I think McGregor could have been nominated.
No,
I'd put him up there. That's the only one that I'm thinking of. But yeah.
Yeah. Rami Malek's the main one, but I do feel like there's someone else that I'm forgetting that is missing, and it's not sticking out to me in my head. I'm sure viewers who know what we love are streaming the name as. But yeah, so again, Mr. Robot feels kind of absent for me.
When are the Emmys? I don't actually know when they are this year. I'm assuming any article that you look at has the date.
It's September 17th.
Okay, cool.
So they're a bit later in the year, a couple of months yet, before we get there. So there you go. So that was the drama actors. Is there any other limited series? That's probably one to look at, especially since a couple of the things we have watched are in there. Best limited series, the nominations are Big Little Lies from HBO, which several people have told us to go back and watch because apparently it got really good. I never watched it, of course. Connor watched the first episode. It is not. Do
you know what? It wasn't bad. I just it did a double. It wanted to do a double mystery and didn't care.
Clearly, because it's been nominated for an Emmy.
No, I never said it was bad at the time. I didn't care enough. It didn't make me invested in two mysteries at once.
Okay. But Big Little Lies, that's been nominated. Fargo was nominated for season 3, which they're counting as a limited series. Although I feel like their definition of limited, like what they're counting as limited and what they're counting as a season, is really mix and match depending on how they feel.
It is. I guess if they go with that, all anthologies then have to count as limited.
I'd have to go back and check if they have. I don't know if I believe they have, but
I mean, I think that's a fair rule though, because you only got the one shot.
Well, you have your one shot every season.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying in terms of like for actors and stuff like that. If you're putting them in, because I don't know if they separate actors for limited series as well.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
Right. So in that case, McGregor should be in there.
Okay. Yeah, Big Little Lies, Fargo, Feud, Betty and Joan, which was on FX. The Night Of was nominated, and Genius, which was from National Geographic. So we didn't check that out because we don't really check out things from National Geographic.
I didn't know this existed.
Nor did I. Obviously, Night Of is a thing to be in there. If we're counting Fargo, then sure. I is there anything else we would have watched applied to this? Did we watch any other anthologies this year?
Um,
I can't
I
remember.
don't think we did. I think it was quite a light year for anthologies, to be honest. I mean, the closest I can even think of would have been Black Mirror, but obviously that was episode anthology.
Yeah, so that wouldn't count as a limited series then, because
I would assume not, no.
which begs the question: if Black Mirror counts as a regular series because it's episode by episode anthology, then why does a anthology that's full seasons get to go? Oh no, we're a limited series.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. Weird. In terms of actors, Riz Ahmed was nominated for a limited series, as was Benedict Cumberbatch for Sherlock, the Lying Detective. Robert De Niro was nominated for Wizard of Lies. Ewan McGregor was nominated for Fargo. Jeffrey Rush was nominated for Genius, and John Turturro was nominated for Night Of, which I would. Both of them are great in The Night Of. I might have. No, would I give it to John Turturro over Riz Ahmed? I might. I feel like Riz Ahmed was the star of that first episode. He was phenomenal in that first episode. But as the series went on, I think I was enjoying Turturro's performance more.
I think I was enjoying Turturro's character more, but I think Riz Ahmed had a more nuanced performance.
Okay. I can see it.
But both were pretty great. So yeah, sure, throw them both in there. Why not?
Limited series actress. We had Carrie Coon from Fargo. We had Felicity Huffman from American Crime. Nicole Kidman from Big Little Lies. Jessica Lange from Feud. Susan Sarandon from Feud. And Reese Witherspoon from Big Little Lies. So, yeah. And they've got a bunch of supporting actor nominated. Well, maybe look at the drama ones, because again, that's the bulk of what we covers.
Yeah,
falls into those categories. Supporting actor, we got John Lithgow from The Crown. Jonathan Banks from Better Call Saul. That was a good pick. Mandy. Is that guy named Mandy? Oh. Mandy Patinkin from Homeland. Michael Kelly from House of Cards. David Harbour from Stranger Things. Oh, cool choice. Ron Cephas Jones from This Is Us. And Jeffrey Wright from Westworld. Yeah, Jeffrey Wright's a good pick, actually. He was good in Westworld.
I'd have to give it, from what I've seen, I'd have to give it to Lithgow.
Really? Okay. Well, I didn't see that.
I thought that was a very good show, but his performance as Churchill was phenomenal. Right, I've never seen as good a performance as that for Churchill.
That's fair. Supporting actress in a drama series, we got Anne Dowd from The Handmaid's Tale. We got Samira Wiley from The Handmaid's Tale, or Samira, that might be pronounced. That's Moira. I was curious who that was myself when I seen the name.
Okay.
That's Moira. Uzu Aduba from Orange Is the New Black. Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things. So she's the youngest, of course, out of this list. Chrissy Metz from This Is Us, and Thandie Newton from Westworld. That is a stacked category, actually.
It's a tough category for anyone to win.
It really is, because Millie Bobby Brown blew us away with. But again, how do you compare that to someone like Thandie Newton on Westworld?
That's it.
That is a really tough category. I do not envy the people.
Just being nominated in that one is pretty good.
Yeah, and obviously there's two there that I can't speak to because I've not seen those shows. But out of the four that I have seen, that is a stacked category. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like that's probably we're getting to reality and variety and all sorts of.
Did they have any good stuff in the music for drama? I assume they have one. They've got one for everything else, so I'm assuming they've got a category for that.
Music composition for a series, original dramatic score. We have The Crown.
Yeah.
Actually, these are specific tracks rather than just the score, because they're giving me an extra thing. So I've got one from The Crown. I won't get too specific unless we know more about it. The Crown, House of Cards, Planet Earth 2, A Series of Unfortunate Events, A Bad Beginning. That was James Newton Howard that did the score for that.
Yeah, which piece was it from Planet Earth 2?
Planet Earth 2? Islands.
Oh, that's a phenomenal piece of music.
Max Richter got a nomination for Taboo Episode 1. And then Victoria also got a nomination for a track. That is weird to me. Is there an overall score? No.
No.
Main theme music. There's a main theme music award. Which
anything good in there?
Both Westworld and Stranger Things. I assume that has to be a new thing though, because it's you don't get nominated for the same theme again next year.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I'd have to give it to Stranger Things, although I do like Westworld too. between the ones again that I've seen. Best narrator? My God, they maybe go a bit too far with these. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, the fact that they've got music supervision in there, I think I'm just glancing at this list now because obviously there's so much.
There is so many awards here. Children's program, so many. It's actually kind of insane how in depth these go. And yet, no best kiss like the MTV Movie Awards. How dare they? Right, let's wrap this up.
I think we went long enough on that.
Okay. Well, best episode of the week's pretty easy because it's Twin Peaks. Because
it is.
Of course, it's Twin Peaks. So there we go. Twin Peaks is favourite of the week. We already went over what's coming next week in terms of shows starting. Ozark's coming, of course. Game of Thrones is coming sometime. Well, it's coming Sunday, but the review will be sometime early week.
I have a question. Obviously, at the start of this video, when you mentioned Game of Thrones, you mentioned, of course, you don't watch it.
Yes.
And I want to guesses. How many comments do we have there? By the time people who just got that far and said the comment, how many people have gone, you don't like Game of Thrones? Because it happens every time. It
does usually happen. It happened... I think it was one of the Preacher reviews I mentioned that I didn't like Game of Thrones because it came up. Yeah. And there was a comment about it. It does seem to be that usually whenever I mention that I don't like Game of Thrones, at least one person has to ask and be like, what, you don't like Game of Thrones? What is this madness? I don't like Game of Thrones. It's not for me. I don't begrudge people who like it. I watched a season and maybe like 3 or 4 episodes of season 2, and I was kind of forcing my way through it because it was supposed to be good. I was supposed to like it, but I wasn't, and I decided that life was too short to force myself through it. I think it got to the point where I
watched Arrow every week.
Arrow doesn't drag as much for me though. I mean, it's worse. Don't get me wrong. It's a worse show. It's easily a worse show. But by the end of not the end of Game of Thrones, but by the end of me watching it, it was taking me like 5 sittings to get through an episode.
I can make the beauty of Arrow is you watch it with me, so you get to watch me get smashed and playing the drinking game.
That is true. That's how I get through Arrow these days. But like Game of Thrones, by the time I gave up, I was watching maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and I was like, I need a break. And I'd come back, and if that's not an indication that you don't care about what's going on, I don't know what is. So I made the call. It's good, but Connor and Matt will cover it. They like it, and you can get Game of Thrones from them. That's fine. Yeah, because me forcing my way through it would not be an enjoyable review for anyone who likes the show. Trust me, it would be a lot of complaining about a lot of things that you would think would be very stupid. So,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I guess that's the end of the video. I'm used to doing the next week stuff here, but I guess that's not a factor now.
Nah, you ruined it.
I did ruin it. Oh well, maybe we'll just naturally have all that at the start now. If that's where it naturally fits. I'm all for feeling like the flow. Well, flows.
It's usually a good thing.
Yeah, flow is good. Flow is important. You want things to flow and not be stilted. And me talking about flow is the stiltiest thing that could ever stilt. So let us know what you thought of this week's news in the comments below. Was there any snubs in the Emmys that you're pissed that weren't there? Who did we obviously miss when we were suggesting people who could have been in there? Because I'm sure there was probably a couple. I should have got up a snubbed article as well for the obvious snubs, just in case.
Yeah.
Didn't think ahead. But yeah, let us have your thoughts in the comments, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. Head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv if you want to support the channel and everything we do here. You can go over there, get some bonuses, and help towards the goal. The first goal of which is to get a movie news video, just like this one, just with us talking about also movie news. So we're over halfway to that. So it's kind of in sight. It's not a complete distant fantasy at this point, which is cool. So if you want to support us, you can head over there and do that. But otherwise, guys, that is us. So thank you very much once again for watching. Keep watching TV. We'll see you next time. Have you got any vanilla?